Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Ismail Keke, the lead tutor at Smart Mind Science Academy, and we'll continue our lesson with the junior secondary school students, which we have decided to make the theme for now about algebra. And I named it All You Need to Know About Algebra. So when we say algebra is the mathematics of numbers and letters, like I explained. And we explained what coefficients are. We also explained how to perform basic operations on algebraic expression, the addition and subtraction. I also explained the rules of addition and subtraction. In today's lesson, we are going to continue with that, and we'll be moving to multiplying and dividing algebraic terms. So when we multiply and divide algebraic terms, what exactly does it mean? There are a couple of things that we need to understand with multiplying and dividing algebraic terms. The first of which is, in mathematics, just like we have 3 times 5, we can decide to write this 3 times 5 using a dot product. What do I mean? Instead of writing it times like this, we can use a dot like this. And this dot is going to mean 3 times 5. 3 times 5, which everybody knows to be 15. Now, this dot is different from this dot here. This dot here means 3.5. So the difference between this dot and this dot is that this is placed slightly below this. You can see the position, and you can see the position of this. So when you place it below, then you mean decimal point, 3.5. But when you place it somewhere in between the two numbers, in the middle, it will be 3 times 5. So we can represent multiplication using this format. So now, when we come to algebraic expression, let's say we have A times B. This A times B can be represented using A dot B. But due to lots of usage, we can even permanently avoid the times and the points and just say we have AB. And this will still mean A times B, or 3A. 3 times A, which is supposed to be 3 dot A, which can also be what, 3A. So in mathematics, when we join letters and numbers, or letters and letters together, the only thing that can join them together is what? Is multiplication. That can make them stand between each other without a sign, without any glaring or obvious sign. So I can have 3 times P times J times, let's say 3 times Q times P times R. And this will just be as simple as writing 3QPR. Right? The 3 and the Q are joined together by multiplication, the Q and the P by multiplication, the P and the R by multiplication. So everything together by multiplication. But there's a slight problem with this 3QPR. 3QPR, there's a slight problem with it. Because this 3 times Q times P times R, you can decide to start with anything. You can decide to say, I have 3 times 3 P RQ, or 3Q RP, or 3PQR, or even P3QR. It could have been any of this. Because still the same thing. The 3 we have here is the 3 here. The P we have here is the P here. The Q we have here is the Q here. And the R we have here is the R here. So it could have been anything. But mind you, in mathematics, we like uniformity. The word uniform is something you wear in school to make everyone you look alike. So in mathematics, we like solutions to be alike. We like solutions to be what? Alike, to be uniform. So anytime we are solving questions like this, we ensure we follow a particular pattern. We always write the numbers first, 3, then we follow a particular alphabetic order. So in the English letters, which of these three letters comes first? P. So it should be P. Which comes next? Q. Then after R. So the correct answer should have been 3PQR. 3PQR. So only this answer is correct. Well, it doesn't mean that if you write it like this, you are wrong. Or if you write it like this, that you are wrong. Or if you write it like this, that you are wrong. But the most correct is what? Is this. Because we follow what? Alphabetical order. That's very important to note. So we follow alphabetical order. So that's the first thing you need to know about multiplying and dividing algebraic terms. That when you join letters and numbers together, they are joined together with what? With a multiplication sign in algebra. Number two, just like you have 5 squared, which means 5 times 5, a squared would also mean a times a. X squared would also mean x times x. You can see the difference between my x and my multiplication sign. So let's say I have 3 times x times p times x times y. This would just be write the 3 first. Then what letter comes before in p, in x, and in y? Should be times. So the first letter should be p. So 3p. Then we have two x's together. That will be x squared, then y. So this is 3p x squared y. You understand this much? Also, x cubed would mean x times x times x. We multiply them. X times x times x. That would be x cubed. And the last but not least is that we can multiply numbers. For example, I have 4 times 3y. Now you can see, if this is what I have, this 4 is only going to multiply the number of its kind. So this is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. Then you just put the y, 12y. So let's take my example on this. Let's say I have 2x times 3. That will be 2 times 3. Just focus on the numbers. 2 times 3, 6. Then the x, just put it. But in the case whereby you have 6x times 4x, now, in this case now, the 6 will multiply the 4, and the x will multiply the x. Another way to do this is to break it down and open this 6. We already know that 6 is not just 6x, it is 6 times x times 4, and x is also 4 times x. So you multiply the numbers, 4 times 6, that would be 24. Then the letters, x times x, that would be x squared. In fact, you can skip this step completely. This step, you can skip it completely and just do 6 times 4 here, 24, then x times x, x squared. So you focus on numbers multiplying numbers, then letters multiplying what? Letters. So let's take another example. I have 8ab times 7a. Now, 8 times a times b times 7a, 7 times a. So 8 multiplies 7, 8 times 7. A multiplies a times a, then b times b. 8 times 7 is 56 times a times a is a squared times b. So we can join together and say we have 56 a squared b. Also, you can have skipped that whole step completely and just say 8 times 7, 56, 8 times a squared, then b, 56 a squared b. So all in all, you still get the same answer. So before we end the class today, I would also want to quickly look at when we have brackets. So let's say I have something standing out, and we have numbers in the brackets. For example, I have 7, then I have 2a plus 4. Now, in mathematics, what we have here is what we call brackets. What we have inside here is what we call brackets. So you can see that outside this bracket is a guy, standing guard outside this bracket. Now, this 7 is guiding everything inside the brackets. So that's why you have to be very careful when you're working with brackets. This 7 here is guiding everything inside the bracket. So the 7 is going to affect the 2a. So you can expand the brackets. Now, this is bracket expansion by doing 7 times 2a plus the 7 is still guiding the 4, 7 times 4. So here we have 7 times 2, which is 14a, plus 7 times 4, which is 28. They're not of the same term, so we can't do anything further. We just leave it like this. Another example is, let's say I have 4a in brackets, 2ab plus 9. Now, we only have one thing standing guard now. Like in the case we have 7 here, we have 4a here. Again, this 4a is going to affect the 2ab. So we're going to have 4a times 2ab plus, that's the plus here. And the 4a also affect the 9, 4a times 9. So when you're expanding brackets, you should expand with what is multiplication. It should be a times. So 4 times 2, that's 8. 8 times 8, that's a squared. Then you put the b. Plus 4 times 9, that's 36a. And that's the answer. 8a squared b plus 36a. Let's take another example. We have minus 3x into bracket 4xy minus 12. I purposely bring this to explain to you about signs. So in mathematics, signs can also multiply each other. So rule, sign rule, we have minus times minus gives us a plus, plus times plus gives us a plus, minus times plus gives a minus, plus times minus gives a minus. So we have minus times minus, that gives a plus, plus times plus gives a plus, minus times minus, 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 plus times minus, minus. So if the signs are different, if the signs are the same, you just turn it to plus. Minus, minus, plus, 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 plus. If the signs are different, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, minus. So we're going to use that idea in solving this question. We're going to need it in solving this question. So again, we expand the bracket by doing what? By ensuring that the guy standing outside is going to affect every single thing in the bracket. So minus 3x would multiply 4xy. So minus 3x times 4xy. Minus 3x again will multiply minus 12. So minus 3x times minus 12. So that's it. So minus 3 times 4, x times x, then y, then minus 3 times minus 12 times minus times x. This minus is just for this 3. So we just have to bring it here. So minus 3 times 4, that's 12. X, that's sorry, minus 12. Minus 3 times 4, that's minus 12. Just like you have minus and plus. The 4 has a plus. So that's a minus 12. So minus 3 times 4 is minus 12. Just you have minus times plus minus. Then x times x is x squared. Then dy. Then here, minus 3 times minus 12. That's minus times minus. So that would be a plus. And 3 times 12 is 36. Then times x, you just put the x. And that's the answer. So in the practice sheet that will be attached to this video, you're going to have a lot of things to work on and play with. So ensure that you try your hands on them. And whichever part you have that you do not understand, you can just always rewatch the video. Thank you so much for your time. We really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.